Hello, everyone. My name is Kimberly Harms. I'm not one of those that can start this chapel by telling you what years I went to MCI or what year I graduated, but I do have four amazing children, and one of them, Morgan, is currently enrolled at MCI and with plans to graduate next June. Just a little background information about who I am. I grew up in a really small town in Saskatchewan with my parents and two sisters. I grew up attending church and had parents that encouraged us to be involved even at a young age with music and Christmas dramas and accompanying. And I started taking music lessons at a really young age. I've just done music my entire life. From playing piano and singing in church and festivals to earning a couple of music degrees and eventually learning the art of teaching music myself. I moved to Manitoba after getting married, and we live on a farm here in southern Manitoba. I teach music a few days a week, mainly piano and vocal with a bit of guitar here and there. And one of my favorite things to do is actually to lead worship in our church. I love just sitting at the piano and being able to play and sing as I worship God, whether it's in church or just by myself. It just really is a huge expression of my faith in who I am and who He created me to be. As I was thinking about what I felt was feeling led to share today, I kept coming back to what I'm passionate about. I can only share about what I know and what I've experienced. The one constant in my life has been music. I've gone from years of just basically obeying the notes that are written on a page to beginning to understand what I'm creating when I play or sing. Or maybe it's more what it creates in me. One of my favorite things to do is to find a quiet space and sing. Where there's a piano, I play and sing. I have a few favorite places that I like to do that. One of them is a certain hill just close to where we live, and I love going up there and just putting in my headphones and just listening to music and spending time with God. Just me and Him. It's a time that I can really just sit and let go of everything and listen to the words and let them really sink into my spirit, and I can let go of my emotions and feel His love and faithfulness all around me. But one thing that I've really struggled with over the years is believing everything I sing about when I'm not singing. So many of our songs, whether they're hymns or worship music, are about God's character and His love, His faithfulness, forgiveness, compassion, mercy, and grace, that He's trustworthy, and that He will always be there with me through trials and storms, that He loves me, that He actually created me to be who I am and said it is good. When I'm singing, I can almost feel His love around me. It builds me up and it wraps around me and becomes a place where I just want to stay. But that's not always what it's about when I'm singing. And that's when I really struggle. I'm a feeler. I feel all my emotions really strongly. And it's easy for me to believe my emotions more about facts than something. So if I'm struggling with feeling hurt or rejected, lost or alone or confused, I don't feel God's love and acceptance. So it's easier for me to believe my emotions than facts. When God's word tells me over and over that He is love and He will always be there for me, it's much easier to sit in my emotions and believe the lies that the enemy tells me in the midst of my storm, because that's what feels so real. But His word tells me again and again that He is my friend and will never leave me or forsake me, and He'll always be my friend. Recently, I had a friend challenge me to read through all the Psalms and read about God's character and faithfulness to me. There's a lot of Psalms, and honestly, I had never done that before, just read through them all. I'm not the kind of learner that can just read something and learn about it. I have to write it down. So I've started through the Psalms, underlining and circling and making all sorts of marks in my Bible, and then writing down in my journal the character of God and all the things that He promises me. We probably all know some of those promises that we read in the Psalms all the time, that He is my shepherd, or that He leads me beside still waters, that He wants to give me the desires of my heart, or that He is my refuge and strength. But He also promises that His love is going to go before me and that I can trust Him. Sometimes life teaches us that trust isn't a real thing and that people around us can't be trusted or that it has to be earned. As I sit here and think about this, maybe that's really what this little chapel talk is about. It's about trust. It's easy to trust my emotions because they are real, they're tangible. They're always with me and they never fail me. But so is God. In fact, He's even bigger than my emotions because my emotions can change by the hour, sometimes even by the minute. They can change depending on who I am or who I'm with, or even where I'm hoping to be later that day. They go up and down like a roller coaster. Just ask my kids. But His faithfulness is like a straight line, and it never changes. When I read the Bible, I read these stories of these broken people who, in their weaknesses, they became heroes and fathers of faith. Men and women who put their trust and faith in a God that they could not see and took steps and sometimes leaps of faith. Joseph spent 3 years in jail, but I can't imagine having done that. And yet he held firm to his faith in God because God had proven His faithfulness and love to Joseph in years past. Moses had this incredible moment with a burning bush. I can't imagine forgetting an experience like that. But in spite of his strong feelings against being the one to lead the Hebrews out of Egypt, Moses held on to that event, and with each step, God continued to show him that his word is true and that he would be Moses' strength. He sent Aaron to stand beside him, and through many signs and wonders, God proved to Moses that he could be trusted and he would be faithful, always. Abraham dared to take his own son to the mountain to be sacrificed out of his own hand. I can't imagine that kind of faith in a God that's so strong that would even consider something like that. But God had shown himself so faithful through the years that Abraham trusted in a God, even in those extreme circumstances, that God would provide a way out of this and through this. And then there's David. How many years did he hide in a cold, damp, dark cave, fearing for his life every moment and wondering how many times God would spare him in battle? How many cold meals did he eat because they didn't dare light a fire? And yet David could simply look up at the stars and see the goodness of God. He gave God all his fears and difficulties and then turned and praised him even in the middle of the loneliness and hardship. What I love about King David is how he felt so free to tell God exactly what he thought, and how he felt deserted and cold and tired and hungry, afraid and tired of fearing for his life, exhausted from feeling like everyone was against him. He seems like this amazing symphony of deep emotion and unrelenting strength. And he gave God the glory again and again and again. Every day he looked at what had happened and knew it was only possible because of God's love and faithfulness. And so he trusted more in this great and amazing God. And so I come back to one of the things I love best, to worship God through music and song. It's where my faith then begins to connect something with my heart and becomes real. It just kind of sinks down into my spirit and my faith is built up. And when I read the Psalms, I'm reminded of so many worship songs because so many are written from the Psalms themselves. When I read the Psalms, I hear King David telling God everything about what's going on, whether he's happy or sad, scared or angry or joyful, when he is super excited about God and he has seen him done amazing things, or even when he's just sitting around the campfire looking up at the stars. King David seems to have found a place of expressing all of his emotions, but he keeps coming back and declaring all these amazing things about God. That he is kind and caring and compassionate, but he's also a warrior, and that God is there to lead them and to defend him. More than anything, though, it's that we can trust God that will always be there regardless of what's going on in my life. Through trials and storms, he is always there. And the more that I look to him, the more that he will prove that he is that person, that he is that God that is always watching over me even when I don't feel him. One worship song that I really love is called Defender, written by Rita and Steffany Gretzinger. The words feel like a psalm themselves, and how God is always there, how he saves me, and how his way is so much better than my way. It talks about how when I feel like I'm lost, he always picks up the pieces and he puts me back together. I think I'm just always learning to trust in him and his faithfulness, even when I don't feel it. So here's the song, Defender. You go before I knew that you've even gone to win my war. You come back with the head of my enemy. You come back and you call it my victory. Oh, you go before I know that you've even gone to win my war. Your love becomes my greatest defense. It leads me from the dry wilderness, and all I did was praise. All I did was worship. All I did was bow down. All I did was stay still. Ooh, and all have saved me so much better your way. And hallelujah, great defender, so much better your way. You know before I do where my heart can seek to find your truth. Your mercy is the shade I'm living in. You restore my faith and hope again. And all I did was praise. All I did was worship. All I did was bow down. All I did was stay still. Ooh, and hallelujah, you have saved me so much better your way. And hallelujah, great defender, so much better your way. When I thought I lost me, you knew where I left me. You introduced me to your love. You picked up all my pieces, you put me back together. You are the defender of my heart. And hallelujah, you have saved me so much better your way. And hallelujah, great defender, so much better your way. And all I did was praise. All I need to do is worship. Lord, I will just bow down. I'm just gonna stay still. I'm just gonna stay still. I'm just gonna stay still.